What's up? It's time for another update. I'm in New Orleans. Real exciting. After I left Charlotte, I boondocked my way through Atlanta, back through Alabama. I spent 2 days on a lake and a nature preserve outside of Atlanta. I only meant to spend 1 day, but didn't need my air conditioner, so I ended up spending 2 days because it was so awesome and quiet. Wasn't the best parking spot. It wasn't level. I had to switch the side that I was sleeping on again. But I liked it enough. It was really quiet there. I stayed 2 nights, and then I went to another lakeside spot near Tuskegee National Forest. I'm probably butchering that. It could be Tuskegee. I don't know. In Florida. Was it Florida or was it Alabama? Doesn't matter. It was free, and picked up garbage when I got there. And I know it was actually from the locals. It wasn't from people camping. It was from the locals, because the day after I picked up garbage, I was walking to the trash can to drop off my own garbage, and right where I'd already picked up garbage, there was more garbage. It really made me mad. So whatever. Then I went to, the lakeside place, the second lakeside place was in Alabama. Then I went to another free camp spot. I just get such a kick. I have no financial need whatsoever to camp for free. However, I get such a kick out of camping in these boondock spots for free, and I don't need access to power or water every single day because of my battery and because I can charge it when I drive. So what's the point in paying for something you don't need? That's really what it is. So I just get such a kick out of free parking spots. I went to Mystic Springs, which is in McDavid, Florida, the day before I came to New Orleans. And I met a new friend. Her name was Russia. Yeah, her name is Russia. So interesting. We spent hours and hours and hours talking, and it was just great to have some company. She's 22, and so I was really inspired by her and gave her some encouragement for her path in life, and listened to a lot of what she had to say, everything she had to say about her family and her struggles and whatnot, and just felt really encouraged. It was like the universe sent us to each other, and we had breakfast the next morning, and then she was on her way to Alabama, I was on my way to New Orleans, and she had just come from New Orleans too, so it was just neat to have our paths cross and to be able to spend some time together, because we'd been spending a lot of time alone as solo females traveling. And yeah, we're friends on TikTok now. We have each other's phone numbers. That was a really neat experience. I was there for boondocking there for 2 days. The campground in New Orleans, it took me probably 3.5 hours to get there from Mystic Springs. It's right off the I-10, which is super, super convenient to get there. And you can walk to the French Quarter. I've been walking all over the city. I walked all day yesterday, which is why I'm home, so-called home today. Enjoying my van just to recover. It's Sunday at the time that I'm recording this. And I just spent all day in the city yesterday, did the quintessential walk down Bourbon Street last night. It is not my scene, you guys. I did the quintessential walk, but, I don't know what people are hooting and hollering about. They're just, arbitrarily yelling, woo! Just walking down the street. I mean, yeah, it's getting close to Halloween, so tons of people are in costumes, and I am into dressing up. I like costumes, it's fun, but the whole party scene, never really been my thing. Not that I've never partied before, I certainly have, but just not into it. So, but I did it. I walked down Bourbon Street both in the morning before anything else was going, and then at night after a much needed massage. I went to this Asian massage place, not one of those types of places, but went and got an 1.5-hour massage that was quite good. Could have been better, of course, but it was still really good and much needed after a long day of walking. I went to the World War II Museum in the Museum Quarter in New Orleans, and yeah, I have a couple more days here before I go to my event next week. My event starts on Thursday, but I'm checking into the hotel where the event is on Wednesday, and I also stopped by the hotel yesterday and asked them to make sure that my van could be parked there, and they assured me that yes, that it can, and that I will have access to it, because I don't want to have to stress myself out over bringing everything I need into the hotel when a lot of what I need is in the van. If I can just go to my vehicle and grab it if I need to. So I was assured that yes, I can, which made me very happy. So that's Thursday or Wednesday next week that I check in, the day before the event starts, because I don't like to rush anything, you guys. I am slow, but I shouldn't say I don't like to rush anything. because I've been taking some swift action on a matter that is very near and dear to my heart. As you guys know, I have a home in the Orlando area in Florida, and I return to that home when I'm not traveling. I have been gone from my home for a little less than a month now, and I plan on returning early in December. And I have received notices from the city in which I live, Winter Park, Florida, telling me that allowing other people, guests visiting the area for whatever reason, that they're trying to attract these guests into the area, by the way. But I'm not allowed to have any of them in my home. In fact, according to their ordinance, the use and occupancy, not just the rental, the use and the occupancy of my home for less than 1 month, which is totally vague, is prohibited. Which means, because there's no other language, it just says that, one sentence, that if I were to pay someone to house sit for me for a week, a weekend, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, it would not be allowed. If I were to exchange my home with some friends in the Netherlands or Italy or my family in Germany and I were to go and stay in their home at the same time and no money exchanged hands, but even if it did, that's not allowed. So I'm supposed to leave my home empty when I'm not in it, which is apparently safer than allowing someone that I have vetted to come into my house. Does anybody else smell bullshit? Because I smell bullshit. So I've been spending a lot of time in the last couple of days preparing to file a lawsuit against the city of Winter Park. I've been doing a lot of research and I've contacted an attorney. Hopefully I'll be getting a consultation early next week, but essentially the city is trying to fine me and take enforcement proceedings against me. I've received so far one letter in response from the assistant city attorney saying that I'm not exempt from the ordinance. But what I've done is gone through and with the help of ChatGPT and its data up to 2021, I've been able to piece together a really compelling argument for the unconstitutionality of their ordinance and the fact that it's vague, the fact that when they wrote the ordinance, the internet didn't even exist. I'm not joking. The internet did not even exist when they wrote the ordinance, which was originally intended to prevent people from renting out their condos downtown as timeshares or doing like fractional ownership, which Airbnb is not that at all. It's home sharing, and the ordinance doesn't reference vacation rentals or visitors or home sharing at all. And I also have an email from one of the commissioners that I emailed back in April, because this conversation's been happening all year, where the commissioner divulged to me something quite useful, and that was that at the time when they met in August of 2022, last year, to discuss whether or not they would make any changes to the ordinance, they decided not to, because if they did, then the Florida state statutes, which prohibit municipalities from dictating essentially the duration or frequency or restricting short-term rentals altogether, the state statutes say you can't do that. But since their ordinance is so old, they were grandfathered out and are therefore exempt from respecting the rights of property owners. He told me that the reason why they didn't make any changes was because they didn't want the state to take away their power, essentially. And that's proof to me that their intent is not to uphold the property rights of the residents that live in Winter Park. It's to protect their own power. Such is life with politicians. So that was really helpful for me to get that information from him, and it's come in use or in handy now as I prepare to file an official complaint and open up a lawsuit against the city of Winter Park for violating my rights to do what I want with my property when I'm not there, and to also protect it, because while they can argue that it's a safety concern to have a vetted and verified guest that I've chosen to allow into my home, in my home, they can say that's a safety concern. It's a massive safety concern for my home to be empty when I'm not there. And it's certainly absurd for them to expect me to not go anywhere when I want to go somewhere or even need to go somewhere, because that's the only option I have according to the ordinance, right? So there's a lot of vagueness in that ordinance, but anyway, I've been spending a lot of time piecing that together in a comprehensive way so it's easy for an attorney to be like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do this, and like translating everything that I've already done, and it saves me money. However, I am seeking for the city to reimburse me for all costs and fees involved with bringing this action against them. So it really doesn't matter how much it costs, because they're going to be paying for it anyway. It's been interesting in terms of like my mindset too, because for example, when I received the notice, I was feeling a lot of fear. When I've received a response from the attorney, who basically it's their job to agree with the city, so he was just like, too bad, you know. Most people, and I'm not most people would have just put their tail between their legs and slinked away and said, oh well, I guess that's all I get, you know, these like slim pickings. Most people would have walked away and just said, oh well, you know, posted on the Airbnb community like, hey, has anybody else got a notice? Because the next action is if I don't change my listing on Airbnb to 28 days or more, which is technically a month, then they're going to bring me, or they're going to try to bring me in for an evidentiary hearing before the code enforcement board, which is basically just like where they could potentially levy fines against me, put liens against my property if I don't pay those fines, whatever. Like, they're just trying to threaten me. And it's just like it would be in a one-sided, non-objective, non-neutral place where I feel like a court would be required by law to see all arguments and to consult the law and to consider whether or not this one line of ordinance is sufficient to be considered valid, especially when it's over 40 years old. I am not most people. They are poking the wrong bear. For someone to tell me what I can and can't do on a piece of property in a home that I built and designed myself, that they have no ownership over, I call major bullshit on that. They are not owners of my property. They're not even my friends. They've never been to my house. Besides my Airbnb photos, they don't know what it looks like on the inside. They will never be allowed into my home. Yet they're trying to tell me who I can and can't allow into it when I'm not there. I don't think so. They don't know who they're messing with. I knew that I couldn't go forward and just not stand up for myself. That's not the type of person that I am. It's not the type of person that I want to be. And I knew that if I just slinked away, with my tail between my legs, feeling as if I had done something wrong when I know that I haven't, then I wouldn't be able to live with myself. So that's why I decided I don't care how much it costs. I just got paid out the rest of the money from my sale of the assets of my company last year, and if I win, then they're gonna have to pay me back anyway. Like, the city is gonna have to pay me, and that's a waste of taxpayer money. So hopefully they don't even, like, you know, they don't string it out, because I think the fact that they met last August to discuss the ordinance means they know that something is wrong with the ordinance. And considering how I brought up some valid legal points about arbitrary and capricious enforcement to the assistant city attorney, and he didn't even address those points, also the vagueness of the ordinance he did not address, proves to me that I have some points. And his silence is like, yeah man, I hope she actually doesn't do anything about it, because I'm gonna do something about it. I don't like being told what I can and can't do with my property, and I'm a leader, I'm not a follower. And I have not expressly given any authority or ownership of my property to this municipality, which is a corporation. So while the assistant city attorney has chosen to focus on points that he deems irrelevant to my argument, he's completely ignored the points that are valid in hopes that I won't do anything about it, in hopes that I'll be like, oh well, I tried. And a lot of people would not, they would fear the loss of the money, they would fear the loss of the lawsuit itself so much that they won't even pursue it. They're like, well, I only make X number of dollars or whatever on my Airbnb a month, and if they're investors, whatever, they might have other properties. I do have other properties, but this house is my primary house. This is not me trying to come in and buy up a bunch of properties on my street that I'm renting out for money. I'm not trying to start an Airbnb business. I'm just trying to rent out my house when I am not in it, which is not permanently. I still live there. My clothes are still in the closet. My car is still in the garage. A ton of my stuff is all there. All of it's there. Unless it's in the van, it's in my house. So it's my house. It's not just an investment. It's not an investment property at all. It is my primary home, and I'm not going to allow them to tell me what to do with it. I'm just not. I don't think anybody's ever sued the city, never taken it that far. I think maybe they've gone to hearings, and of course they've been stomped out, because it's way easier for the city to just stomp out the dissenters by threatening and sending fines and liens and doing all the bullshit they think they're allowed to do, because they're exempt from following the statutory prohibition that are in place to protect property rights. They believe that they're special. It's elitist is what it is, and it's elitist. And this Winter Park tends to be quite elitist, and you know there's a bunch of rich people, like ultra rich people. I consider myself wealthy, but I'm not in the upper echelons of richness like some of the people who live in the central parts of Winter Park, like around the lakes and stuff. I live in what I call the butt crack of Winter Park, right? It wasn't even part of Winter Park when the ordinance went into place, which may or may not be relevant. But regardless, the internet didn't even exist when the ordinance went into effect. So it's already, I mean, it's completely outdated, but that's beside the point. I know that the commissioners' campaigns are paid for by the ultra rich in Winter Park who want their way. So that's part of it as well. They're not interested in preserving the property rights of everybody. So there's also the space then for the possibility of discrimination being part of this suit as well. So there's so much in it, and I'm very excited. I'm actually having a lot of fun. Sure, there has definitely been a drain on my energy before, especially in the beginning when I was like really letting my emotions react instead of me responding and saying like, wait a second, like I know I can win this. And instead of having the mindset of like, what if I lose? Like, was it worth it? I don't know what's going to happen. What if it takes a long time? Like, I already have it in my mind that I am victorious with this. As such, I am taking the action that will make me victorious. And that's the power of your mind. That's the power of your belief in yourself. I am elite when it comes to, I mean, if the people, the ultra rich in Winter Park think they're elite, I am elite when it comes to my own self-belief. I really believe that I have what it takes to be victorious in suing the city. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. And I also received a text from my ex, not my ex-husband, but my most recent ex-boyfriend, the one about which my Love Life episode, which I think was episode 3 or 4, was about. And he was like, it seemed really sheepish to me, like, hi, would it be okay? Do you think it would be okay if we kept in touch? And I laughed. I was like in the dressing room trying on clothes. I needed to buy some new clothes for my event next week. And I laughed. I was like, this is unbelievable. Like, he can't stay away. And I really care about him, but I think I need to set a boundary because every time we get back in touch, I start telling him how I feel. And then he just like slinks back in. I like that word, I guess, slink. I had a cat named Slinky even. He withdraws. And I know from the much therapy and coaching that I've done around relationships that he's dismissive and he's avoidant. And that's what he does when he is put into a vulnerable position, not put into a vulnerable position, but if I ask him questions that make him uncomfortable, then his reaction is to blame me for that discomfort instead of asking himself and going internally and be like, well, what is that? You know, like, why am I reacting in this way? And why is it so hard for me to answer these questions? Why don't I know the answers to these questions? Why do I feel overwhelmed by this woman that I can't stop thinking about, right? And he told me he thinks about me every day, and he feels like he needs to be connected to me, but also that he can't be connected to me or that we can't be together. So I'm at a point now where I am about to set a boundary and say, look, like, this is just what's been happening every time you come back into my life is I ask questions and then you withdraw or dismiss my questions or make me feel like I shouldn't be asking questions. And I want to set a I have standards for my relationships, both friendship and otherwise. And I don't want to be in contact or stay in touch with someone who makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong when I ask a question or that it's my fault if they're overwhelmed. And I asked him like, well, why do you want to stay in touch with me? And he confessed it for being selfish reasons, not or enjoying knowing what I'm up to. And I'm like, well, watch my damn YouTube videos. I didn't say that, but I wanted to. Like, if you want to know what I'm up to, watch my YouTube videos, watch my TikTok. But even when we were together, he wasn't interested in any of what I was doing. So it's just like, you want me to entertain you is essentially what it comes down to. And I'm not into that. I don't want to be used in that way. I don't want my energy to be taken away for someone else's benefit when I'm receiving nothing in return. That's not where the relationship is. If it's like the moment I ask for something, like answers to a simple question, like what is important to you in a relationship, just as an example. What would you have done differently in our relationship? Just questions to discuss, like discussion questions. And if those are hard questions and you need weeks and weeks to answer, and you just hope that while I'm waiting for you to answer that I just forget that I ever asked, no, I'm not interested. I mean, you're taking my energy, but you're not wanting to give any energy back. I'm not interested in that. Plus, like, I don't want to start anything up with somebody when I'm almost 1 month, 4 weeks actually, to the day into this adventure that I'm on. Yeah, I'm going home intermittently, especially with this looming lawsuit against the city. I don't want to get emotionally attached to somebody that I've already been emotionally attached to in the past and feel like I have to drag them along with me, or that I'm doing something wrong by having the adventure of a lifetime without them. I have to keep putting myself first and keep working on myself right now. And it's like every time I take steps in the direction of doing that, he pops back up into my life, and I don't know if it's the universe testing me or what, but it's been interesting to say the least. So, and to that end, the third thing that I've been working on is relaunching my coaching company. With my Proofread Anywhere business, I had that coaching company and I sold it, and now I am relaunching. And in the next couple months, it'll probably be in the new year, relaunching my coaching company, and talking about mindset with you guys on here has me pumped about what I'm going to be offering within that membership. It's going to be a membership, really affordable group coaching program where we talk about mindset and how you view yourself and why how you view yourself influences your whole life. Like if I saw myself as a subordinate to the city, or if I saw myself as, oh, it's my duty to fix this person that wants to be with me, and I have to, I've thought about just getting on my phone and telling him, hey, this is how I feel again, but I've done that so many times and it goes unheard or dismissed, and I'm just going to uphold the boundary. I think at most I will make it clear that there is now a boundary in place and that I don't want to stay in touch with him until he's ready to discuss these unresolved things between us. And if he's not ready to do that, then I guess we're not going to talk again, and I need to keep that boundary. But yeah, mindset and how you view yourself and who you believe yourself to be and what you believe is possible for you is critical to how your life unfolds. And that's why I believe so firmly that because I have this vision in my mind of me being victorious with the city as an example, and me finding another partner that really digs who I am and can have who provides a strong masculine container for all of my emotions and doesn't feel overwhelmed by me. I have that strong vision in my mind, and I'm taking actions every day that are supporting those visions becoming reality. That's why belief is so important. If you don't believe that any of that stuff is possible for you, then you won't take any action to make it possible for you. So you essentially you prove yourself correct, in your beliefs about yourself, regardless of what they are. Like if you believe you're a loser, you're going to do things that prove it. If you believe that you're a winner, you're going to do things that prove it. If you believe that you're anything, fill in the blank, it's the same. So that's what the coaching program is centered on, is our thoughts about ourselves. And we're going to be talking a lot about money too, and scarcity, and creating a wealth mindset, and creating from a place of creativity and not from competition. Creating value instead of worrying about making money, right? Because created value is what wealth is. And within us, we have a ton of unrealized wealth, but we are oftentimes too scared to put it out there because we don't believe in ourselves. So it's just this cycle that we tend to perpetuate. Yeah. So that's it for this update from New Orleans. Leave me a comment if you're enjoying this content. Ask me questions if you have any questions. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.